Hi, and thank you for tuning into this podcast. My name is Shay Ryan Douglas, and in this series, we explore community connection, optimal human potential, and transformational collective growth through inspiring conversations with a diverse range of people who are working towards a positive change in the world. I hope you enjoy this episode today, and if you would please take the time to like, share, and subscribe, we would greatly appreciate that. And I hope you enjoy.
I love that, Pete. Thank you so much. Just wanted to reiterate for everyone listening to, perhaps go back and listen to that again and take some notes, because here we're talking to someone that has, devoted their life to understanding nutrition, to understanding the human biology, and he brings such a complex question back to such a level of simplicity that's applicable for every single one of us. What am I putting into my body? Am I shutting down my pineal, my gut instinct, my intuition, by poisoning this vessel and reducing its frequency, which is effectively what's happening? Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. The more you live in alignment with the planet, the more you are able to be one with all the energy. And so I would urge everyone to go back and listen to that again, and then to bring it back to, how can I consciously take care of who I am, and the body's the only place the spirit has to live, kind of thing. And I know a story that I heard once. A story of a guy called Giordano Bruno, who was an Italian philosopher. And Bruno believed, like Copernicus, that there was an infinite number of worlds and an infinite number of universes, and the Earth spun around, the sun spun around, and spun around a bigger sun. And that was, of course, heretical to the church at the time. So they eventually burnt him alive on the stake for teaching something that didn't match the geocentric, Ptolemaic Christian religious constructs at the time. And before Bruno was to die, as the guards held him up on the para with torches and flames, the gentleman that was about to burn him alive asked the question, "Have you got something to say?" And Bruno said yes, and he explained further that if he recited this scroll, this guy had the scroll, he said, if you recite the scroll and say exactly what we want you to say, we will spare your life and put you in prison for life, but you will recant everything you've ever said publicly. And so Bruno said, yes, I do have something to say, but I don't need the scroll. And then in the face of hundreds of people booing him down and believing the herd mentality of this has to be the only way, this is the way, and Bruno's wrong, he said the following. He said, turns to the torchman holding up the flames, and he says, "I bet that your fear in burning me alive is greater than my fear in receiving it. For though you may destroy my mortal body today, you will never destroy my message and my mission. It is on the way, not in the way." And his belief was greater than theirs. And his certainty was greater than theirs. And today, 400 and something years later, all of his studies, all of his science, all of his declarations from Giordano Bruno is now science and now known. And we use it in our life every single day. And without pointing fingers or saying good, bad, right, or wrong, you stand for what you believe in. And that's for sure. And you inspire people in many ways, that's for sure. And a question that I've got for you, Pete, is, as you stand fast in the fire, as you create and design that life that is by your design so beautifully with your family, etc., what is it that you want to leave behind?
Never really thought about it, to be honest.
Small question. Have you got any ideas? Let the spirit flow.
To be honest, I've never thought about it. It's something that has never entered my conscious thought. Because, yeah, there's There's no desire here for me to be right. There's all I'm doing is expressing myself at how it feels right for me at any particular point in time. Now, that might change tomorrow. I don't know. It won't be through fear, though. It'll be through a choice of listening to my intuition, listening to my spirit. I don't really think about the destination or the goal of, oh, if I only do this, then this will happen. I just see it as one big fucking adventure, one game. I'm like, I get to live in this, and I've gone through so many things to get to here. Wow, what's still to come? This is my wife and I talk about it most days. We go, what a fucking trip this is. Like, do you believe that we're here at this particular point in time in these earth suits doing what we're doing, which is just having fun, exploring, creating, living, feeling like, whoa. And we get to witness this fucking crazy time of these systems that are built that have their own fears and insecurities. And it just, they're swaying. They're like a house of cards at the moment. I just shared something on Telegram, actually, the social media platform that I'm still allowed to be on. And I shared
Telegram, no Telegram.
and I shared. I just felt I felt like I needed to sum up my perception of today, and I was like, so I Googled House of Cards, and all I saw was Kevin Spacey and that TV show. So then I wrote House of Cards meme, and then it was more Kevin Spacey from that TV show. All right, okay, House of Cards toppling over. Image. So then I got it. I found the one that I wanted to express, and it was 100 different cards all stacked up, but it was this tower falling. And I said, this is the visual representation of 2021 and all the current systems that are in place. It's like being able to witness these systems that have been around for centuries, if not millennia, starting to destroy themselves through the sheer weight of how tall they've gotten, how much power and control they think they could take and hold. And we get to witness this. And then I wrote in my post, I said, we can actively participate in pulling these cards down, whatever that may be for each and every one of us. Some are activists, like I mentioned before. Some are educators. Some hold space through meditation practices. Some just go out there and smile at people that are wearing masks. Some will be just living their lives, doing what they do without even knowing the effect that they have, that a smile or their light can shine on people. And what's happening with these systems that we've discussed in this talk already is we're seeing new ones emerging. We're seeing celebration of holistic farming permaculture practices. We're seeing the new social media platforms emerging rapidly. We're seeing the new media like yourself, Dr. ETV, launching into a new realm, and this will be mainstream one day. I know this. It's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when. And things are happening so quickly at the moment, so fucking quick. We're watching today the government, the Attorney General, we're watching this infighting. So we actually nearly don't need to do too much. We could sit back and just enjoy the show because I checked the ratings on mainstream media today. They're down about 20 or 30% from last year. The only thing holding them up is this virus. Once that goes, and it will go fucking quickly, I promise you that. This whole thing was going to fall apart. It could take months, it could take weeks, but it's going. This vaccine, the big pharma, we're watching them are starting to attack each other because we have a bunch of monkeys trying to tell other monkeys how to do something. It's fucking a zoo or a circus. It's happening in real time, and we get to witness this. And we're watching the Dr. Seuss today, for instance, being cancelled. Like the absurdity and the insanity and the ridiculousness of this that is coming out. It's not coming out every day. It's coming out every hour. The insanity and the ridiculous and the absurdity and the criminality and the fear and the greed and the corruption. Like, it used to be a drip, drip, drip. Now it's running. The flood is coming. And I don't mean that in a biblical sense or anything like that, but there's only one way now. The dam has sprung a leak, and all of these existing systems are going to fucking crash. Now, what we're witnessing at the moment, like what I was saying before, is we get to experience this. Now, we can just observe, we can play a part of this by doing what you're doing now, by setting up your own TV network, which is fantastic. You're an entrepreneur, you're expressing yourself creatively. We've got other people that are the black sheep of the family that are listening to this. They're like, oh, how do I get through to my mum and dad or my husband or my wife or my kids about this? Like, how can they not see it? But at the end of the day, they don't have to. It's not your job to make them see it. You can inspire through your own actions. They'll see you. They'll see you shining your light so fucking bright. Now, they might double down on their actions. That's okay. It's their journey. They've chosen this. It's not like they don't have the information. You've been sharing it. The information is out there in mainstream media, whether it's about me and conspiracy theories or whatever lies they create. The information is there. If anybody has any common sense, they could go, what's this all about? What are they talking about, fluoride in water or toxic sunscreens? No. The Cancer Council would never lie to us about what's in a sunscreen. Our government would never put anything toxic into our water system. The list goes on. So I guess I'll finish with that. Like, we're at the point now where there's no excuses, right? There's no excuses. There's no one to blame. The information is out there for anybody that is willing to basically nearly be, well, again, I'll bring it back to the accountability and responsibility. And we'll bring it back to diet, for instance. If you want to try a standard Australian diet as outlined by the Dietary Association of Australia, try that for 2 years. See how you feel. If you want to try carnivore, paleo, or keto, try that for 2 years properly and see how you feel. If you want to try a vegan, plant-based diet, try that. Be your own detective. Be your own detective. Find out which supplements work for you. Find out if turning the television off or the Wi-Fi off of a night time every night by 9 o'clock, so your house is Wi-Fi free, for that changes your sleep. See what happens if you wake up in the morning and watch the sun come up. See what happens if you start a practice such as tea practice, movement practice, meditation practice, exercise, whatever it may be. See what happens if you start to cook your own food every day for the next month, regardless of the dietary principles, but you just cook and you just choose organic. What happens if you put liver into your diet once a week? What happens then? So we need to, I shouldn't say we need, but there's an invitation there for each and every one of us to explore what brings us to a place of vibrancy, of unbounded energy, of mental clarity, of neutrality, or even better, to be in awe and wonder of what is going on at any particular point in time. Whether it's fucking scary and you're like, whoa, I don't like what they're doing over there, and perhaps that's coming. How do I stay grounded in this experience? Can I find a solution for this? And then at the same time, celebrate as often as you can the things that you love to do, because that's what we're here to do. There's no point being an activist and fighting every day for something when you are not living your life that brings you joy. But maybe an activist is what brings you joy. But I'm a big fan of going surfing and eating good food and hanging out with my family. That's priority for me. The rest is just a little bit of fun and bonus sort of thing.
Yeah, I love that, Pete. Thanks for sharing so much.
Oh, and I will. Sorry to. I do want to finish this in case I get cut off, Shay. If we finish this early,
Yeah.
but I think it's a very important, and it's an opportunity for anybody that's not sure about what action to take, is to not compare yourself to anybody else. It's so important, because you might have friends that are, wellness warriors or this. They could be miserable. You could have a mate that spends his day gardening, or your parents gardening, and they could be the happiest people in the world. So we need to be very careful that we try not to compare ourselves to others, because that can be it could be a recipe for disaster, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So when we don't have to compare ourselves, that's when we have complete freedom to be who we are. Sorry to interrupt, but I felt like I needed to say that.
No, I love it. No, thanks for sharing. I really am so inspired by your level of awareness as to what's happening in the world and where you stand in all of it. And something that I feel, I mean, just from this conversation, just to round it off a little bit, it seems evident that we're living in a highly toxic world, chemicals and all the things that are wrong or negative towards our experience. And so
Currently, yes.
Currently, and you've spoken to a lot of the solutions, and you've spoken to the things that people can explore and experiment within their own lives. Something that I love about the work that you're offering here, particularly with the Awaken movement, and what Dr. E is moving through too, is this level of conscious community. And it seems to me, from my perspective, that there are a lot of people in the world that are waking up, and there is tremendous hope for us all as humans, because ultimately the numbers of people who are ready, willing, and just aware of what's going on and ready to take action towards that rebuilding and that regenerating of how we live this life is phenomenal. And I'm just curious to hear from your perspective, maybe a little bit more on this project that you've initiated and how it's this initiative is really starting to maybe gain momentum or not, because from what I understand, it's about providing sustainable living solutions, the lifestyle that we dream of, living on the land, growing your own food, living in community. It's kind of like this beautiful, ideal, romantic dream that we often share, but yet we still find majority of our lives navigating through the so-called old system that you're saying is being drawn out underneath us and collapsing. And it's unique to be able to be living in this space. But what does it truly look like? Is that kind of a utopian vision, to be, simplifying life and connecting back to the land? Is that the ultimate vision, or what is it that you feel is relevant for humanity to be evolving towards?
Again, it's interesting that it's an interesting question, because some people want to live on the land, some people want to live in the city, some people want to go out bush, some people like to live on the beach, some people don't have the choice to be able to pick up and move at this particular point in time, whether it's financial, geographical. So I'm very cautious as to what I would say to anybody, because again, I don't want to put my I don't want to make anybody feel any different than what they feel for the choices that they've made. So yeah, my experience at the moment is one of getting to learn and understand how how to work on the land and growing things and raising things. And, it's a beautiful experience, because I grew up in the suburbs of Queensland and also Victoria, and lived in cities, and I've lived that experience. This is a new one for me. I like doing things where I'm a novice. Like, I really enjoy putting myself through a transformative growth process, and I find that is some of the most rewarding adventures that I've been on in this experience of life so far. And when you can come at something humbly and say, I actually don't know anything about this, that for me is a great place to start with, because then you can you're empty, and you're filling your cup with knowledge and wisdom from other people that have lived it or experienced it. And you're still going to make your own mistakes, because that's how we learn. So this is just one part of my journey at the moment. My wife and I have just bought a property where we're about to open a health retreat. We've got 7 cabins. We're going to do something really small, really intimate. And again, that's a new adventure for me. What's that going to be like? And for my wife, what's that going to be like to hold retreats for people? What are the thoughts? What are the doubts? What's exciting about this new adventure? Again, we're beginners at this. It's new. It's fresh. I actually have no expectations. I have an intention that people that will come will have a wonderful experience. That's it. And if they don't, then so be it. I can't control the outcome of how somebody is. They might come in and have a terrible time, because they're stuck in their belief systems of what they might expect, or shit going on in their world, and it's just not the right time. Whereas other people I know will get a lot out of it, hopefully. So, to answer your question, a utopic vision of the future, I don't know. I actually think everything's in balance currently. That might sound a trippy thing to say, with all the greed, corruption, and fuckery that's going on. But at the same time, there's so much goodness in the world. There's so much light.
Mhm.
There's so much love. There's so many solutions emerging or have emerged. So I feel like the scales are always in balance. It just depends on which way we look and how much we take in from our attention. And we do live in a utopia at the moment. We really do. And it's just perception of how we view ourselves and view our world and view our place in it. If there's things that you want to improve or experience, if you think there's too many chemicals going around in the space, then you might want to, that could be part of your journey. How do we find solutions for this? And there's great people that are working on this. That's part of their journey. There's other people that are just like, fuck, get me out of the city. How do I do this? What do I really want to do? And there's solutions for that. There's community projects where people can come in and form a group. That might be too much for somebody at the moment, where they can go, well, how can I support holistic regenerative farming? I've heard about these people that have cattle that we can buy a whole cattle. Maybe I need to get a chest freezer, but then once I do that, I'm actually reducing the amount that I spend on meat per week or per year, but it's actually better, and I'm doing a little bit. We always don't have to do a little bit is a lot. And it's something that I challenge myself, and I'm challenged with on a day-to-day basis still. It's one of my things I still have to come to terms with, is you can't change the world, Mr. Evans. Right? There's nearly 8 billion souls out there that are here to experience and make choices on their own, regardless of what you share out there with regards to dietary principles or political movements or this and that. If you think you can influence the world, it's like you standing on the beach at low tide when the tide's coming in, saying, I'm going to stop the tide from coming in. It's insane to even think that way. So I removed that sort of the ideological thinking of I can change anything external from me, to the point of, does this feel right for me to go down this path? I'm just about to I'm entering politics. It was something I never thought I'd do. You couldn't pay me to do it. And if they do pay me, if I do get in, I'll give it to a charity or something, because I do not want to be a part of that political system where I get paid for, because there is a major issue in there with corruption. And I'm a novice, but I'm being guided by some really experienced people. And again, my cup is empty at the moment. But each and every day, I'm filling up with a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more common sense as to how these things work. I can see the board a little bit more clearly each and every day as I go along this journey. The stupidest thing I could ever say is, I'm entering politics and I know how to change things. Or I'm an expert in this. And I said this at a rally the other day 2 weeks ago. I was invited to speak at a rally. And I stood up and I said, I don't have the answers. I don't know what I'm doing in this reality, in this journey, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to speak my truth, and that's all I can do. And it might last a month. It could last 10 years, 20 years. I don't know. But I will follow my intuition every step of the way. And whatever happens, happens. And again, I have no expectations. But I have an intention to learn and to grow in this process, and to follow my gut and my heart and my spirit into this journey without any expectations. And that's a fucking big thing, especially when I can see there is so much disharmony that exists and so many problems that exist. It's a dance that I do every single day, and it overwhelms me sometimes. And then I'm excited by it at other times, and then I'm neutral about it the other time. And I'm like, so it's this, and that's what I'm excited about too, because there is this nearly battle going on in Pete Evans at the moment about all of these things. So I know there's still more work to be done. There's still more growth, because at the moment I'm like, fuck, what's this all about? and I love when I have these periods in life where I'm like, I don't know. It feels right. What's going to happen here? So I'm nearly in this constant state of just awe and wonder, and that's a really good place for me to be in and without being exhausted by it. And it's another battle and challenge that I face myself. How do I not be consumed by what I have to offer myself and to the world? So that's I'm being a bit vulnerable here for you, but I have challenges just like everybody else has challenges, but I see them as opportunities and invitations to learn more about myself and come at it humbly.
Beautiful message. Pete, thank you so much for your humility and your humbleness, also your insights and your wisdom. Thanks for joining us on the show today. My name is Shay Ryan Douglas. Pete Evans, I really appreciate all the work that you're doing in the world, and would like to direct any listeners or viewers to check out the Evolve Network or search Pete Evans, and you'll find some interesting information, and we'll leave it up to you to do your own investigation and research into how you feel about your place within the world. So, Dr. E, is there any last statements that you'd like to share?
When you take something that seemingly from the outside seems so complex and you make it so simple, and you bring it back to the fundamental basis that this is our reality, this is potentially us being a part of the most incredible, call it a great awakening or experience or whatever it is, and you bring it back to what you shared with us today, Peter, absolutely see that. I feel that. I think that's fundamentally what we are born to do, to be us. And so I want to thank you for being you. I want to thank you for being here with us. And again, urge people, if you want to learn more, go to Pete Evans Evolve Network. Check out that as a a channel that's going to be there. And also, perhaps for me, as a nutritionist as well, I think it's vital to look at what you have to offer in regards to a clean lifestyle, because that is something that you're absolutely a world expert at as well. So thanks for hanging out with us today, brother. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for being so real. And thank you for helping us perhaps remember how simple life can be when we look inside and walk our own path.
Thanks, gentlemen, for having me, and thank you to all the listeners and viewers today for coming along this journey with us too, and question everything that I've said, and again, listen to your gut and enjoy the adventure with awe and wonder as often as you can. And hopefully we get to meet each other in person and on this journey as well. I'd love to have a cup of tea with you guys too. So thank you.
Be honored. Pete Evans, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode and for listening to this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this series, and if you'd like to listen to the full episode and get more conscious content online, tune into our online video platform at earthheroestv.com. Hope you have a great day, guys, and a huge love from me, and see you next time.